Good morning, everyone. Turn on some lights here. Move in, make it our own. All right. Well, this morning, we'll jump right in and start with our mind benders right away. You all know my favorite thing is to tell everybody that you've never seen the outside world, right? That you've never had a direct experience of the outside world, right? Because as soon as your hand touches this piece of wood, right, it consumes it as it were, and takes it directly to that part of the brain, that information to the brain about, I don't know how it describes it. I doubt it's zeros and ones, but probably something like that. That goes to your brain, and then your brain has to recreate a symbol for what the hand is touching, right? And it cross-references it with all the other senses to find a place for it, to find space, to create all of the experiences of having a body in this world. But Rama Vivekananda makes that very important statement. He says, I am not in Alameda, the city in Northern California. He says, Alameda is in me. And he's pointing to this truth, that basically you've never seen the outside world. You've just seen the symbols that your mind creates from the senses to represent this external world. Right? And we get some comfort in thinking that that world is real because, well, my ear is where that sound is coming from, right? My eyes are where that light is coming from. But then I remind you that your eyes and your ears are also simply symbols for the source of sound and the source of life also, or light, which is created by mind, presented to you in the mind. And so we move through a world of symbols where nothing is as it seems. And Krishnamurti, in his book, The Last and First Freedom, makes some wonderful statements about these. He says, symbols then are indispensable, but symbols, as the history of our own and every other age makes so abundantly clear, can also be fatal. Consider, for example, the domain of science, and on the other hand, the domain of politics and religion. Thinking in terms of and acting in response to one set of symbols, right, the symbols of the first part here of, he says, the domain of science, right? He says that when we consider one set of symbols and act in response to this set of symbols, we use the forces as instruments of mass murder and collective suicide. In the first case, the case of science, he says, the explanatory symbols were well chosen, carefully analyzed, and progressively adapted to the emergent facts of physical existence. Right? So science has been moving along, changing their symbols, updating their knowledge as we investigate and as we learn and as we grow. Right? So those symbols tend to be rather dynamic and rather movable. He says in the second case, in the case of religion and philosophy or politics, he says in the second case, symbols originally ill-chosen were never subjected to thoroughgoing analysis and never reformulated so as to harmonize with the emergent facts of human existence. Right? He's saying that a lot of these symbols that we have in spiritual life are antiquated, and they're not updated necessarily as we learn new things, as we understand new things. Now, that's not entirely true in Vedanta, because Vedanta is always updating. The Upanishads are still being written. You know, the Vedas are still being unfolded. People are still realizing God, right, in that sense. But a lot of times we ourselves take the symbols that we were given and we don't update them within ourselves. We don't investigate and learn something new about God or to learn something new about the reality of life and what we are. We keep these symbols as they were given to us from our parents or from our churches, from our friends, from wherever we happen to find them, from books or whatnot. But very rarely do the symbols of our spiritual life come from our spiritual life itself, come from our own inner experience, our own walking with the divine, our own testing of faith, our own willingness to investigate. I mean, these scriptures, science too. I mean, the thing is, in science, they investigate. They'll say something crazy like, you know, I read in the New York Times that reality is like an ocean of black goo which doesn't take form until it's observed, and within which time is passing forward and backward simultaneously. that sounds like religion. When I was a kid, that would have been something you heard at church. And now you're hearing this in a physics class, right? And what's the difference? Well, in the physics class, you hear it, and then there's studies, there's experiments set up for you to go and to try these things. And people sit there and say, how can we test this? How can we find out if this is true or not? Right? Religions become this thing where they give you these set of symbols. They make a crazy statement. You are not the doer, right? You're not a body. You're not a mind. And we take that and we just hold it inside. But where are the experiments, right? Where's the testing? Where's the poking to say, whoa, that was a crazy thing to say, right? Because we grow up in traditions that say, you can't ask that question. This has been established for 12,000 years now. Just listen and do it. Listen and obey it, right? We're not allowed to make it our own. We're not allowed to take it apart and say, hey, that sounds too crazy for me to accept right now. Let me do an experiment or two and get back to you. Right? Let me test it and see what happens. Because even the best cookery, Krishnamurti says, even the best cookery book, the best cookbook, is no substitute for even the worst of dinners. The fact seems sufficiently obvious, and yet, throughout the ages, the most profound philosophers, the most learned and acute theologians, have constantly fallen into the error of identifying their purely and verbal constructions with facts, or into the yet more enormous error of imagining that symbols are somehow more real than what they stand for, right? So this is a very important statement here when we make the symbols more important than that which they stand for, right? Because we can broaden that out into that realm where these two separations between politics and religion and science are only artificial, right? In the sense that we are living in nothing but symbols. And our error is that we have made these symbols more important than that which they stand for. We've accepted them not as symbols, but as the thing itself, even though there's not a thing itself here. Right? Everything in this world is in a constant flux of change, right? What is today a piece of wood, tomorrow will be ash, the next day will be part of a deer that ate a carrot that rolled through the ash, you know. Everything is constantly in flux. Everything will not be what it is at this moment in a few more years. And it's just a matter of time frames where you're going to put your boundaries in as to what seems to be real. This temple not too many decades ago was just an open field, right? And what is it that manifested this symbol for a temple? Well, a group of symbols, right? You have created a symbol of yourself called an ego, right? Your ego is simply a collection of experiences that you've had in this body, some memories of what's come in through the senses, and a little bit of putting those things together into a relative idea of the world. That's your symbol for yourself that you've constructed while you're here. You've identified yourself with the body, and you've identified yourself with the mind and all of the restrictions that come with that, right? The body and the mind has given you all of your desires, has given you all of your hopes and all of your dreams. But who is it that's dreaming? Who is it that's hoping? Who is it that's trying to find out the truth? Who is it that has defined itself by this body and by this mind? Right? Because it's clear, as we all know, and as I always say, this is why this is the introduction, is that we have created this false sense of self in order to move in a world that is not natural to us, right? In the Christian scriptures, Paul says to the Corinthians when he writes them a letter, he says, the Spirit, not the letter. And we have such trust through Christ toward love, not that we are sufficient of ourselves to think of anything as being from ourselves, but our sufficiency is from love, not the letter, but of the Spirit. The letter kills, but the Spirit gives life. Right? The letter is word. The letter is this expression, this symbol that we've created. When we make the symbols real, they become limitations, they become restrictions on ourselves. We become small, we become obedient. We are placed in direct relationship with them where we're limited by them, right? But the Spirit sets free. Your nature breaks you free. When you come to realize that which within you is searching for all of these things, is the thing which contains all of these things. Right? In the first experiments of these great 7 mythical, I hesitate to say mythical, because I imagine there were some of them that went up into the mountains some 12, 15, 20, 30,000 years ago, the times we can't know about. Right? They went up there with this idea, we're not coming back down from this mountain until we know the truth. Right? That those men went out there to solve this idea of what is this life? What is this about? And they found some things. They found a lot of things. What they found initially was that if you go out through the senses, everything bifurcates. You're not going to get an answer. You're going to get more questions. Every question you answer, there's going to be 5 more questions behind it. Right? That's that statement that Vivekananda says. Pick up even a grain of sand. Go down to the beach and pick up 1 grain of sand and take that to your labs and study that the rest of your life. And he says the day you die, you will have more questions about that grain of sand than what you've answered. Right? And so the first rishis went up there and they said, well, this can't be a quest out there then, because out there keeps changing and keeps bifurcating and doesn't give us any absolute answers. And so they said, well, where is the bottleneck? Well, I'm the bottleneck, right? The whole world, when I measure this entire experience of being, where do I measure from? From here, right? I know that you are there because I'm here. I know that you're female because I'm male. I know that this is wood because I'm not, most of the time, right, in my head. And so here we are, defining this whole world from ourself, right? Growing up in a world where we're trying to find out what we want to be, right? Without ever knowing what we are. And so how can you know what you want to be, or what you should be, or how you should be, if you have no idea what you are, right? And as long as we stay active in this external world, as long as we stay intrigued by this constant flow of unrepeating change, we're distracted enough to make it a good way through life, right? As long as the thump of the disco is going, as long as you've got the energy to get up and go have fun and find all the things you want to do, as long as you're handsome and you're beautiful and your body is wonderful, well, the whole world is available to you, and all of those distractions take up the first 40 or 50 years of our life, right? And then what happens? Suddenly, getting to the disco at 11 o'clock at night is not nearly as attractive as it once was. You'd much rather go to bed, read a good book, and fall asleep, all right? This is what life becomes. All of us in our 20s, I assume you were all like me, vowed that I was going to be the 90-year-old at the disco. I'm not going to give up having my fun, right? I'm not going to give up being young. I'm not going to do it. Well, we didn't get too far. So the spirit, not the letter, right? What is it to be spirit? Meister Eckhart has a few little quotes here that I want to share. Each one of them kind of unfolds something beautiful. He says, one must not always think so much about what one should do, but rather what one should be. Our works do not ennoble us. We must ennoble our works, right? So what is he saying there? He's like, it's not about what you're doing in this world, right? We were started off on our left foot the first time somebody bent over and asked us friendly, what do you want to be when you grow up, right? Immediately setting your mind out of the present moment into an imagined future to become something, which suggests a couple of things. One, that you're nothing right now. We're interested in what you're going to become, right? It'd be much nicer to bend down to that same child and say, do you know that you were made completely of love, and that anything that you love deeply in your life, that you give with your love to, is going to be satisfying, it's going to be fulfilling because of the way you do it, not what you're doing, right? And then you get that, break all of that stress. Oh, I have to be a doctor or I'm nothing, right? Or when I woke up one day at 30 years old, running around a cubicle, a bunch of cubicles in the accounting building fixing computers. And I just had that moment where you just stop and you look around and you're like, wow, this is it? This is my life? I'm a cubicle rat with a degree, right? And you hit that midlife crisis, right? Because you contrast that with your dreams. Remember when you were a teenager, when you were thinking of graduating from high school, it's like, oh, where am I going to go to college? Oh, I want to be a doctor. I want to be an actor. I want to be a dancer. I want to be whatever it is you want it to be, right? Not many people go to that place, right? I was making posters about my concerts that I was going to be singing in on the leftover wrapping, not wrapping paper, but the packing paper in the house, putting them up on my wall, you know, turning up my Donny Osmond on my little vinyl plastic record player as loud as I could, and singing to my desk lamp with my highlighter in my hand, right? That was my dream for the future. And then some 30 years later, I'm walking around a cubicle farm thinking, where's the spotlight? Where's my dream job, right? And the stress of it is that as long as we think it's what we're doing or what we should be that's important, it's never going to be satisfying. Because even if you become Donny Osmond, look what happened to him. Right? Is there contentment in that? No, it also doesn't last. It also takes a constant refilling, a constant effort to keep it alive. Right? And so when he says here that it's not that our works that ennoble us, right? It's how we do our work that ennobles them. Right? Your work is not your identity. Your job in this world is not what you are. You can go to that office and be an accountant or a CEO or a busboy or a dishwasher or between jobs. It doesn't make a difference. What makes a difference is how you do it, right? How you're going to make that happen. And this reminds me of Swami Prabhudananda's very important teaching on karma. He said it was controversial and that not everybody would agree with it, but he said, nonetheless, in my life and my experience, this is what I've learned. He said, your karma has nothing to do with what happens to you. Your karma has everything to do with what you're able to do with what happens to you. Because in this world, stuff happens. Seemingly random, you know. It just happens. There's an earthquake, the houses fall down, right? There's a volcano, tsunami, car accident, whatever it is, illness. These things come and they hit us. And we're always like, oh, God, I didn't deserve that. Why did this happen to me? Right? Because we see everything as a value, not understanding that this world just is. It is the way that it is. And the things that happen in it happen. It's what you do with them that determines what kind of person you are. If you've got good karma, which means that you're a person who moves in a dharmic way, you're moving toward light, you're moving toward positivity, you're not looking at the problems, you're walking around being solution-oriented, you're walking around looking to alleviate suffering and to helping others and taking the common good as your own ideal, you know. If you're walking around like that, your life's going to be pretty great. You're going to ennoble most of your works, right? They're going to be beautiful things because you did them for what? For love. And you used what to do them properly? Your wisdom. And how did you do them? By being present. And there is what you are. Love, wisdom, and presence. Okay. So don't always think so much about what you should do, but rather how you're doing it. Why should you prate of God? I had to look that up. Why should you prate of God means exactly what it sounds like. Why do you rattle on about God? You know, like an old car that doesn't turn off. Why do you prate of God? Whatever you say of God is untrue. Right? Because God cannot be constricted in a concrete form. Cannot do it. Right? Because God is beyond. It's like the best way I think of this is, again, that dream idea. When you go into your dream at night, you can't go into your dream at night, can you? You can't do it because your body somehow can't go into your mind. It has to lay there on the bed. And what do? You create a thought of yourself and you enter into your dream as the thought of yourself, right? This is what God has done. Right? God is too big for a word, right? Too big for a full manifestation. That's why Ramakrishna says that these incarnations, that they are wholes. They're described by absences, not that there's something. It's what they are not. They are not an ego. They are not self-concerned, right? They are the purest manifestation of love, wisdom through being that can possibly be done. And so Ramakrishna says, see an avatar as a whole through which God can be seen, right? That's where the oneness comes from. When Jesus says, if you've seen me, you've seen God, is it because his body was particularly majestic and he was particularly handsome and particularly amazing? No. It's because you could look at him and what you saw was your divine nature, which is spirit, expressed as an unconditioned love, a person who was willing to give up even his own self to love, to care, to alleviate suffering, right? This is who we are and what we are. He says, don't prate on God, don't talk about God, don't think that what you know about God and what you say about God is anything. That's just an ego builder. It gives you satisfaction of knowing something, right? But God cannot be known in that way. God can only be known in silence because he's too big to fit in a word. And in that silence, if you can ever reach it, that interior silence, God becomes obvious. He becomes apparent because you're no longer distracted by the constant change of your mind. Meister Eckhart goes on, I tell you the truth, any object that you have in your mind, however good, will be a barrier between you and the inmost truth, right? Your active mind, your mind is active only because of those two little poisons that we've dropped into it, me and mine, right? Without the thought of me and mine, the mind is absolutely placid, just content, happy, seeing all is one, all is fine, all is good, right? Knowing its nature. It's not involved in a narrative. It doesn't have something it has to go do. It's not regulating its body, thinking, oh, what does the body want? What does the body need? What does the mind want? What does the mind need? It's separate from that, sitting in this perfect calm. Any object in your mind becomes the veil of Maya, right? Because what causes an object in your mind is a sense of separateness. I'm separate and apart from the whole. Right? Well, now the whole universe, which is a unity, a one without a second, has to completely misrepresent itself to you because you're the king deciding to put on pauper's clothes and walk into the village today, right? And suddenly your whole staff is like, oh my God, what does this guy do? We can't just let him go walk into the village. So now everybody else has to dress up, all of your guards, all of your spies, all of your tasters, and have to go out there and kind of pretend that they have nothing to do with you, right, and experience this world. That's what your mind is. That's where all the stories of your mind, all the fears, all of your hopes, all of your dreams that are shaking around in there like crazy, how all started happen when you drop that me and mine in there. He says, so if you have any object in your mind, however good, it's going to be a barrier between you and the inmost truth, which means it's going to distract you. It's going to block your view, right? If you're hungry, you can't notice how beautiful the flowers are unless you can eat them, right? We get distracted and defined constantly by the mind. We miss all sorts of wonderful things in a day because we're not looking at them. We're not paying attention. We pass all kinds of opportunities to expand ourselves, to alleviate someone's suffering, to care, to reach out, to notice that someone's sad. How rare that is, to notice somebody's sad and then go sit next to them on the bus and say, I can't help but notice. Are you all right? Just checking in. You may be the only person that checks in with that person at all. Right? Wisdom consists, this is another quote from our friend Meister Eckhart, wisdom consists in doing the next thing you have to do and doing it with your whole heart and finding delight in doing it. Right? That's your task. Not to pick out what you're going to do, so you can't run around doing your favorite things all the time, right? Even if you did, they wouldn't become your favorite things as soon as you had to do them. That ruins your faves really quick. And so wisdom is not a big thing. It's not an arrangement of philosophies. It's not a collection of knowledge. Wisdom is to accept what's in front of you, whether it's good or it's bad. Right? There's a wonderful poem by Rumi about inviting in whatever is presented to you. Depression knocks on your door. Invite it in. He says, address it gladly and invite it in to sit down and to have tea with you. Right? Approach everything going on in your life with delight. As difficult as that is, that pain that you're feeling is beautiful. It's meaningful. It's an experience of being. It's an experience of God. Know that and accept that and invite it in, right? Find a place for it. Understand it. Talk to it. Ask its questions, right? It's the hardest when things that we love go away, right? When loved ones die, when friends die, when children die. The hardest time is that time. But why is it so hard? Have we not been told that everyone is going to go? Have we not known since the day we were born that we ourselves were going to go? Right? But what keeps us living with that measure of life? Right? Because our friend Nachiketa says that the very best teacher is death. That which leads you to wisdom, right? Because you sit there, it will help you understand what's important, what's necessary in this life, what's helpful in this life, is to remember that this life is not the end all. This life isn't the whole story. Right? And that's not just a matter of faith. If it's only a matter of faith for you, you haven't done the experiments. If it's only a matter of faith, you haven't taken the tools that many religions, all the religions offer you, but certainly the Vedanta. The Vedanta was never interested in giving you answers because it knew that doesn't have any value if they're not your answers, right? Vedanta is interested in giving you a set of tools. You want to see the truth of this? Do this. And you'll see for yourself. Religion is meant to be realization. It's meant to make you go, ah, of course, right? Not just take the answer and be like, this is true. Now I can argue about it. Now I can tell everyone else about it, right? It's not that. It's transformation. It's you surrendering back into what you've always been, getting rid of the stories and the prattling on about God that you've accumulated, the ideas of what you're doing, and focusing on what it is and what you are. When all of that starts to fall away, something very beautiful comes to life inside of you. Pure love wakes up in you. The ability to care when you're tired and when you're hungry wakes up in you. The ability to not be so concerned about what your body and mind wants wakes up in you. And you find a whole new sense of being, right? A whole new sense of living. You find out that your surroundings don't matter, that God is with you everywhere, that this divine love, this reality that you're beginning to discover in the silence of your practice, in the quieting of your mind, in the stilling of your body, you come and get introduced to that you that isn't growing old, that you that's still peering out the windows of your eyes at this world and occasionally recognizing you don't know something, occasionally, right? That child of wonder wakes up and you begin to realize you don't know anything, right? And the best way to learn that is to spend an hour with a toddler, right? By the fifth why in that conversation, you're going to be frustrated and saying things you never thought you'd be hearing yourself say. God said so. That's just the way it is, right? I don't know why the cloud's doing that at this particular moment. It just is. Why? The author of one of the Mahayana Sutras affirmed that truth was never preached by the Buddha, seeing that you have to realize it within yourself. Such utterances were felt to be profoundly subversive, and respectable people ignored them. The strange, idolatrous overestimation of words and emblems continued unchecked. Religion declined, but the old habit of formulating creeds and imposing belief in dogmas persisted, even among the atheists. Their aim was never to offer ready-made explanations and panaceas. It was to induce people to diagnose and cure their own ills, to get them to go to the place where man's problem and its solution present themselves directly to experience. Right? Religion was never meant to fill your head with how-tos, whys, and truths. It was meant to get you to question who you are, and then give you permission to let go of what you thought you were, right? Which is what grace is all about. Right? To go inside and find out who you are is quite lovely, quite a beautiful experience. It takes a lot of time, it takes a lot of patience, it takes a lot of persistence. Right? That going can be slow, but it can be quickened. You know, the gas pedal is your sincerity and earnestness. Holy Mother, you should never think before you start that it's going to take you a long time. Because Holy Mother says this very moment you can be free. All you have to do is simply set down your desires. Right? Stop being interested in the narratives of your mind. And be content in the moment as it is. It's okay to feel a little hungry. Just let it be a part of the experience. Don't let it define what you have to do right now. It's okay to be a little depressed. Just understand that that doesn't have to color your mind right now. Because you're looking through a hungry body. You are not a hungry body. You're looking through a depressed mind. You're not depressed. You are Satchitananda. You're free from that. To understand the misery and the confusion that exists within ourselves and so in the world, we must first find clarity within ourselves, and that clarity comes through right thinking. This clarity is not to be organized, for it cannot be exchanged with another. Organized group thought is merely repetitive. Clarity is not the result of verbal assertion, but of intense self-awareness and right thinking. Right? So intense self-awareness is you going inside and doing the experiments. Why in the world would a religious person tell me that I'm not a body? Why in the world would a sage sitting in a cave his whole life give me that as the conclusion of his life? You are not a body. You're not a mind. Right? You'll borrow it, you'll pop it in your head as an idea. Right? We've got tons of those, all kinds of ideas up there on all kinds of things. Right? That's not where spiritual life happens. It's not in getting another philosophy or perfecting one you've already gotten. It's not sitting there and reading Vedanta philosophy and liking it, being like, wow, that is so cool. Oh my God, that blows my mind. Oh, how can that be true? It's you taking the one or two sentences at a time, going to the shrine with it and saying, how can I test this? How can I see this? How can I understand this? How can I know this? Right? And so you begin to look. You begin to go in. The most valuable one that I've been talking about for about a year now is the first time I realized I had no idea what it meant not to be a body-mind. I've been told that my whole Vedantic life, 25 years. I was like, at some point after 25 years, I was like, what does that mean? How am I not a body? It's just second nature, you know? How am I not a mind? Right? And so I decided I'll go to the shrine. I'm going to sit here. I'm just going to close my eyes. I'm not going to do my mantra today. I'm going to try and figure out, how does my body talk to me? And what is it to have a body? What is the experience of a body to me, to that which is asking? Right? So you hold that space of the observer, of the witness, and you just begin watching all the ways your body communicates with you. You realize that you can only pay attention to a small part at a time, right? That you can completely forget the rest of your body if you think about your finger, right? I learned that that's a great way of taking care of an itchy mosquito bite. If you scratch it, it's over. That thing's going to itch until it's gone, right? But if you scratch farther up your arm, between the mosquito bite and there, then this takes the predominance. You get that. Or you can pinch yourself on this side and pay attention to the pinch, right? And then the mosquito bite's not itching anymore. That's a very valuable thing to learn about the body and about your mind. That you can take it off bad things and put it on good things quite easily, just by distracting it. Right? That's why Vivekananda says, go around saying I'm free all the time. Go around saying, I'm immortal. I've never been born. I've never died. Saying it all the time. Go around and remind yourself constantly, I am the embodiment of pure love. The God of pure love lives in my heart. A pure love means a love that has no cause, no reason. I love because I'm loving. I love because that's what I am. It's my definition, Satchitananda. That's why I like you. It has nothing to do with you. Frankly, you stink. But I love you because it's my nature to love. Remember that story about that great sadhu? You know, he's sitting there meditating, his disciples with him. I told this not too long ago. But it's a great one. He's sitting there, the teacher's meditating and sees a scorpion climb up a big branch and it falls into the river. And the teacher bends down, picks it up, puts it on the shore, and the scorpion stings him. Teacher goes back into meditation, the student's watching him. Oh, what amazing control. He's not even screaming from the pain. Right? And then that stupid scorpion does it again. And now the stupid teacher reaches down and picks it up again and puts it on the shore. Right? Gets stung again. And now his little disciples over here are a little bewildered. It's like, I would have learned the first time. I wouldn't have done that a second time. Well, then lo and behold, it happens a third time. That scorpion climbs up, falls in. Teacher reaches down, picks it up, puts it on the shore, gets stung a third time. And now his young disciple's just about ready to leave him. This guy's a moron. I don't know what's going on with him. And so he says to his teachers, like, you've picked that thing up 3 times and it stung you 3 times. Did you not learn the lesson? And the teacher said, there is no lesson. It is the scorpion's nature to sting, and it is my nature to alleviate suffering. So I'm being true to my nature, and he's being true to his nature. Right? A beautiful way of learning how to get along with people you can't get along with. Right? Let them be the way they are. You don't have to react. You don't have to accept the gift. You don't have to be offended. Right? Only egos are offended, and only egos can offend. You are not an ego. What is an ego? Body-mind. It's built on your past, on what you've summed up to date. This is what I am. And I bet it's not the same as it was 20 years ago, right? But you are the same. That you of you has never changed. As a matter of fact, Ramakrishna says that is the only real thing. That you that has never changed, that you that's looking out at this world unaffected by it, unchanged by it. The body's changed, the mind has changed, and they're both affected by it. But you are not the body-mind. Right? You're observing all of this. You're growing from all of this. That self is where your love comes from. That steady sense of you is where your security comes from. And if you learn to identify with it, that unchanging sense of I, confidence is your natural state. Focus and presence is your natural state. Renunciation is your natural state, because you watch everything come up, play in front of you for a second, and disappear back into emptiness again. And if you're okay with that, you save an awful lot of suffering in this world. If you can let things arise, appreciate them, and then let them fall, that's half the battle, if not more. Add to that the ability to let others be what they are, and realizing it doesn't have anything to do with you. Let them be angry, let them be incensed, let them be political, whatever it is. It has nothing to do with you. You be you, and allow the world to be the world, whatever it might be. The pure mind and the pure Atman are one and the same thing, right? What does that mean? The pure mind, the mind with no sense of me and mine in it, and God are the same thing. Pure mind and pure Atman. Right? Pure Atman is awareness, right? Pure awareness, one without a second, just awareness. Put an object in there. Make awareness aware of itself as the first step. Now you've got consciousness. Consciousness is awareness with objects in it, right? So this is all, we're conscious of all of this. But in our true nature, We're simply aware. There's no objects, right? Everything is ourself, one without a second. Pure mind and pure Atman are one and the same. Whatever arises in pure mind is the voice of God. All right, so how do you hear God? By not hearing yourself, your lower self, not hearing the noise of the mind, not hearing the stories of your memories and your desires and your aversions. Silencing the inner mind, and that which arises spontaneously within yourself in that silence is your divine nature, that image of God placed in you at who knows when. Let's say at birth, so we don't have any fights. Say at birth that was put there, this image of God. That image of God only becomes aware to you or obvious to you when you stop being distracted by all the things that you've gathered in your mind to think about and wonder about and hope about. When you forget all of your hopes and dreams that were born of television and movies and people's words, right? That which arises within you, the desire for love shown and love received, is you. Our hope is in men, not in society or in systems, not in organized religions, but in you and me. That's where you're going to find your answer. Not in religion, not in a school, not in a church, not in a bus. In yourself. It's going to be a release of you, a result of you sitting in silence and noticing and learning from the world all around you. As all of these things continually rise and fall, their truths will become apparent to you. Those people in the mountains that wrote the Vedas, that wrote the scriptures, they did it by observing, just watching, seeing. The first lesson, my mind talks to me. That means it can't be me. My body has to talk to me to tell me it's sick, that it's hungry, that it's hot, cold. That means it's not me. The fact that it has to address me, the fact that it has to tell me through symbols, that taste in the back of your throat, I'm getting sick, that it's not you, right? Belief in formulas and action in accordance with these beliefs cannot bring us to a solution of our problem. It is only through creative understanding of ourselves that there can be a creative world, a happy world, a world in which ideas do not exist. A world in which ideas do not exist would be a happy world, because it would be a world without the powerful conditioning forces which compel men to undertake inappropriate action. A world without the hallowed dogmas in terms of which the worst of crimes are justified, the greatest follies elaborately rationalized. No, judge that you may not be judged, right? Judge not that you may not be judged. The gospel precept applies to our dealings with ourselves no less than to our dealings with others. Where there is judgment, where there is comparison, where there is condemnation, openness of mind is absent. There can be no freedom from the tyranny of symbols and systems, no escape from the past and the environment, as long as those are the things that we're using to define the world. Right? We define the world in the moment. Think about this moment. If you think about the things in your mind, there's wars going on, there's terrible things happening, this and that and all the other. But come to the moment that the Beloved has given you. There's silence and peace here. And you come to find that the silence and peace of here and now is always with you, right? Regardless of the external conditions, regardless of the circumstances. Because remember that you that has always been you, that you that has been in this body content and quiet and observant for your whole life. The you that you address every time you start your sentence, that I am. You know, we connect all kinds of things to that I am, which is what keeps us confused. We say, I'm hungry, I'm jealous, I'm angry. You can't be hungry, jealous, or angry because you're not a body or a mind. There's three things that you are. I'm loving. That's your primary. That's what motivates you to do everything that you do. That's why you don't do something unless what? You want to do it, which means you love it. You have a like for it. Right? And you say, oh no, I sometimes have to, I make myself do things I have to do. But there's something that you love that's greater than the two of them that makes you go ahead and do it. Right? Love alone is the only motivating factor in the universe. Touch that and know that about yourself. And then do it consciously. Choose wisely. Right? Let it flow outside of you. Introspection with a predetermined purpose, self-examination within the framework of some traditional code, some set of hallowed postulates that these cannot help us. There is a transcendent spontaneity of life, a creative reality, as Krishnamurti calls it, which reveals itself as immanent only when the perceiver's mind is in a state of alert passivity or of choiceless awareness. Judgment and comparison commit us irrevocably to duality. Only choiceless awareness can lead to non-duality, to the reconciliation of opposites in a total understanding and a total love. If you love, you may do what you will. Right? If you are loving, you can't make a mistake. Now, if you're loving through an ego, that's not the same thing as a spontaneous, choiceless existence of loving, which means you do it because of your nature. It's where we get the whole ideal of karma yoga. Do it for its own sake. Do it because that's what you are. Right? If you love because you're a man, that's going to taint your love in a significant way. If you love because you're a woman, that's going to taint your love in a very particular way. If you love because you're a mother, that limits you to one set of children. If you love because you are, the whole world has your children. Right? If you learn to take off the boundaries of your body and take off the boundaries of your mind, you'll find a certain satisfaction in simply being, watching love express. That's what your life is. It's a story of what you've loved. It's a story of what you valued. And this moment is the sum total of it. If you're content, you have a generally fond regard for being, then your karma is good. You've done well. If you're troubled, anxious, resentful, any number of things that are stress-inducing, think about what you've desired. Think about what you've gathered. Reconsider. That takes the bravery, that takes the grace. That ability to let go of wrong decisions is grace. That ability to let go of your wrong ideas of yourself is grace. Your ability to let go of your mistakes is grace. And grace is the same as an unconditioned love. It's the practice, the expression of an unconditioned love. God doesn't watch what you do and then think, oh, now I have to forgive them again. Right? Why? Because God's outside of time. Have you thought about what that means? He's outside of time. That means he can't speak a sentence. He's outside of time, and time is definitely required to speak a sentence, to form a sentence. God doesn't have a will. How does a will? Will is always developed because something is lacking. Something is off balance. So we have to prop it up. We have to change it, add to it, fix it. God is outside of time. There's no will. What God wills is, instantly, even before it was willed. Right? Because God is existence. You are the verb. You exist. God is existence. You love, but God is love. Right? You're intelligent, but God is intelligence itself. Right? So he's that absolute unchanging that doesn't move. Right? right? Because it is content in itself. And that is this moment. And that is you. You are this moment. You have never moved. Time has passed through you. You have observed it. The mind has recorded it. The body has experimented with it. But you have simply been there unmoving. As all of the time has passed before you, all of the events of the world have passed before you. They changed your body, they changed your mind, but you have not been changed. You observe your mind, and if you identify with the mind in this way, and tomorrow you identify with the same mind and it's that way, then you believe yourself to have been changed. But you did not change. The mind changed. And you are separate from that. This creative reality that's within us, this simple, unexpected experience of being, is how we get in touch with that, to let go of the narratives, the stories. I'm a body, I'm a mind, I'm a man, I'm this old, I'm that old, I studied this, I lived here, I was born here, I was raised here, I'm handsome, I'm ugly, I'm fat, I'm rich, I'm poor. All these things which don't matter to a corpse at all, right? Somebody told me the other day, you're aging so nicely, you look great, you don't look nearly your age. I was like, so I'll be a beautiful corpse. What a grand advantage, right? Death is a great teacher. Learn from it and grow from it. In I Am That, Sri Nisargadatta will end with this. He says, you can become a night watchman and live happily. It is what you are inwardly that matters. Your inner peace and joy you have to earn. It is much more difficult than earning money. No university can teach you to be yourself. The only way to learn is by practice. Right away, begin to be yourself. Discard all that you are not and go even deeper, right? And this is that practice. Go in and find out about your body. You know, first occurred to me, the first time that, in a real way, that it occurred to me that I might not be my body was in 2008 when I broke my leg. It snapped real good. I looked down, my foot was laying off to the side. I knew there was a problem, right? But I sat there, I had a lot of time to think. I was laying there for 6 weeks, unable to move, having to keep that leg above my heart level the whole time. I thought a lot. And one thing that I realized is that my body was broken, like a toy. Something external, because my sense of being wasn't disturbed at all. I was exactly who I had always been. But here the body was broken. You could actually break the body. What a weird thing that was to me. I was like, God, thing's never broken before. How did this happen? I didn't know you could lay your foot off to the side like that, right? So you learn, you observe, you watch, you start questioning. Well, if that's true, the body can break, but I can't break. What else does that indicate? What else does that mean? And you keep running through the things. Keep looking at them. Keep observing. You don't even have to think about them. Actually, don't think about them. Don't cognate. Don't analyze. Simply observe, fully present. And the truth of things betrays itself, one thing after another. One thing after another, you can write the scriptures your own self. Discard all that you are not and go deeper. Just as a man digging a well discards what is not water until he reaches the water-bearing strata, so must you discard what is not your own, till nothing is left which you can disown. You will find that what is left is nothing which the mind can hook onto. You are not even a human being. You just are. A point of awareness, coextensive with time and space and beyond both. The ultimate cause, itself uncaused. If you ask me, who are you? My answer would be, nothing in particular. I am. Right? I am. Maharaj, if you're nothing in particular, then what must be the universal, the questioner asks. Maharaj, what is to be universal, not as a concept, but as a way of life? Not to separate, not to oppose, to understand and love whatever contacts you, is living universally. To be able to say truly, I am the world is me. I am at home in the world, and the world is my own. Every existence is my existence, every consciousness is my consciousness, every sorrow is my sorrow, and every joy is my joy. This is universal life. Yet my real being, and yours too, is beyond the universe, and therefore beyond the categories of the particular and the universal. It is what is, totally self-contained and independent. The questioner, well, does it mean that I have to give up all ideas of an active life? Maharaj, not at all. There will be marriage, there will be children, there will be earning money to maintain a family. All this will happen in the natural course of events, for destiny must fulfill itself. You will go through it without resistance, facing tasks as they come, attentive and thorough, both in small things and big. But the general attitude will be of, and these are the four things for you to live this life in a fulfilling way. The general attitude will be of an affectionate detachment, right? So not needing to own anything, but enjoying everything, seeing it as it is and letting it be what it is. I don't have to grab it. I don't have to own it. I don't have to eat it. You know, in my famous story, this is just when you smell pizza, that doesn't mean you have to have it. It means let the day be beautiful with the smell of pizza in it, and enjoy the smell of pizza. Don't let things become a prompt for a quest. Let them be. Enjoy them as they are. An enormous goodwill. So you just walk out that door with a goodwill, just ready to think something positive about every person, place, and thing that you see. Consciously, in your mind, complimenting everybody. I used to do the opposite. It took a lot of work for me to break that habit of making fun of everyone I saw, right? Of being snarky about everyone. I used to go to dinner parties where that was the one goal, to see if you could survive the insults by insulting even better, right? Great fun. Woohoo! So enormous goodwill. Go out there, think positively about others. Always assume the best. If they look at you odd, don't assume that they're angry. Assume, oh, they looked at me odd. That's all, right? Don't make assumptions about others. Be present and you'll know others, right? Sit down next to somebody without an idea about them, and soon you will know them, right? Be interested in what they have to say. Have no expectation of return. Life's not about investing, despite what everybody says. Right? Life is about being spontaneous, alive, being true to who you are, in the moment. Life's purpose is not anything that can be stretched out over time, because you are outside of time. Life's purpose is what you are, expressing what you are, expressing this divine self within, in the world around you, becoming the verb of your divine nature. Right? That unchanging you that never moves, never has a mood, is always content, is always present. That is your source of love. That's your source of safety and your source of strength. Find that unchanging self inside, and anything that changes, ignore it. It has nothing to do with you. It will change. It will become a pea plant at some point. Or any number of things. So no expectation of return, and constant giving without asking. It was from a Peace Pilgrim. I love the way she described her purpose. She says, I'm God's butler, standing here in the dining room of the world, scanning the horizon constantly for an opportunity to serve. Right? Anywhere that I can be of some good help, anywhere I can be useful. Why? That's who I am. You will find that it does in fact make you happy. To act in love does in fact give you peace. To forgive yourself is a source of joy. The ability to move on is the fulfillment of a dream. Right? This moment is what you've got to work with, and it's always here and it's always now. Don't place your happiness at some imagined day in the future. Don't remember it some unavailable day in the past. Forget both of those. Be here. Be present. See how beautiful it all is for the first time. See everything and do everything for the first time. In marriage, you are neither the husband nor the wife. You are the love between the two of them. Beautiful, powerful piece of information. You are not the husband nor the wife. You are the love between the two of you. So naturally, that's what you serve. The love between the two of you. Not this body, not that body. The love between the two. And when one of them goes, you still have the love that was between the two. And since that's what that marriage was, you have lost nothing. And all of your memories can remind you of that love that is still alive and still present in you. And you can celebrate, because bodies will come and bodies will go. Love remains forever. Virtue is the only thing that follows you beyond the grave. Right? So learn to live masterfully in this moment as your best expression of your true nature, letting go of the things that are conditioned by time, space, and causation, and returning to what is important. Be wise, be loving, be, and all will be well.
Thoughts run here and then go there to remember joys and sorrows lived and shared. So many waves of thought and care as I journey from here to there. Then I find myself on a mountain high with light so pure and a big blue sky. And my spirit reaches out to fly as I hear the eagle cry. Then I soar beyond life's ocean's waves to a blissful sea in a crystal cave, to that silent peace of a mountain's heart, to that same place in my heart. And in this silence deep within, this sacred place, this precious gem, my mind and heart fly to release, and I feel the sweetest peace, the sweetest peace.
All right. I know the lesson's over, but I want to say one more thing. That the world is a bunch of symbols. We said that at the beginning. What is it that's behind them? All of these symbols are about love, wisdom, and being. Look at them with that insistence, and you'll learn the right lessons from them. Right? And so let everything in this world, everything that you pass, everything that you see, point at the divine. Everything that changes should remind you of the unchanging. Right? Everything outside should remind you of the inside. Everything that's interesting should remind you of that which is interested within yourself. All right, so you've got some great advantages for moving forward coming up. This next Sunday, Moksha Medicine. Moksha is liberation or freedom, by Swami Chidbrahmananda here for everyone. On Wednesday, Prabhajika Krishna Prana will have our classes, or if she's not here, someone else will, for Swami Trigunatita's life at the present. This coming Saturday for the Karma Yogis is going to happen at 9:15 till noon. We meet down at the convent. Those of you who have been there know the drill. We meet down there, have a cup of coffee, get super comfortable doing nothing, and then force ourselves out to work. And go out and, but do it together. And so it's quite nice. It's a lovely time, actually. That's where friendships form. So that'll be this coming Saturday. Be at the convent at 9 o'clock or so, and then everybody has a nice big lunch together that the nuns cook afterwards, and they are always magical in that regard. Next Saturday, there'll be the gospel class here. I'll be doing that one. And then on the 20th and the 27th, the last two of the month, one of them, on the 20th, Swami Chidbrahmananda from San Francisco, which, if you ever want to see a scholar, this man is the most, I don't even know what the word is. I don't have a big enough word for it. I mean, he's the absolute manifestation of a scholar. If you ask him a question, you never get his thoughts. He'll chant the page directly from the Vedas in Sanskrit and then on the spot translate it in his head back to you, giving you the exact answer directly from the Vedas of what you wanted. Because his family is one of those traditional Brahmin families, he, from the age of 3 on, had to sit and memorize his family's section of the Vedas, because that's why Brahmins were so important. They all had their section of the Vedas that they were charged with carrying forward through time, and it's because of their faithfulness and their dedication, his 3-year-old self being willing to memorize those things, that they're here today, that we're sharing them, that we're talking about them. So a real gift of discipline on that part. I heard that that in his family's home, the hearth fire that burns on their shrine has burned continuously in the same spot. Now, as an American, this is gonna blow your mind. That fire has been tended in the same place on that hearth for 1,200 years. You want a sense of place? A sense of what you are. Imagine growing up in that environment. And then on the 27th, Swami Sarvadevananda will be here to teach on the Bhagavad Gita. And so, as I always love to remind people, this is your place. You built it. And it's your place to find or to do your work or whatever, however you're going to use it. To know God, though. To express love. To touch love. So it's open from, at 6:30 every morning, 6:30, 7, until 7 at night. And so come anytime. There's arati every night where we're all meditating together at 6 o'clock. It's always grand when there's a bunch of people meditating around you. So come, make this place your own, and enjoy the opportunity. Jai Ma, Jai Thakur, Jai Swamiji. I will do a Q&A afterwards if anybody's interested in that. All right. If anybody has anything they'd want to talk about, or a question they have, or an idea they want to try out. What's that?
This is my better half here, Swami.
Oh,
That's Michael Palumbo.
Hi,
Nice
Michael.
lecture today.
Nice, very nice.
excellent.
I know I hardly ever come. I
He's
come.
No worries. You're always here.
a devotee.
I know.
He was initiated.
I was initiated.
Yeah, he got stuck with me,
We
you
should
know.
try to come more, but there's always something going on Sundays or whatever.
Well,
Surely.
it's
No
hard.
worries.
It's hard, but that lecture was
Well
really
said.
good. You know,
About the husband and wife,
about the love.
the love goes on. It's just hard when Mikey's going through. I just,
Oh, I can't. No.
so,
Yeah,
just
because we
like
all
that,
know.
just-
I told Durga, I said, you know, the other day when we were talking about how if Jesus said, come with me right now, we'd all go, no, I got a voice. I got my text, I got to do something.
yeah,
That's all right. He comes back. He keeps asking.
yeah,
But it's irony that we all think, oh yeah, I'm ready to go. She was. She was ready. Mikey said she had this flash of light
Certainly.
before she left.
There's no doubt.
She
The
told
two of
Mikey,
them.
I'm ready to pass. That's
And
what
you
she
know,
told Mikey
They
last
had a
week.
son that was lost.
Yes, yes,
Suicide.
yes.
So I'm sure he was coming for his
Oh,
mom.
God, that's right. So,
So I can't imagine what this man's going through losing his son and his wife. But he's there.
Yes, yes.
So I can't believe you were a snarky guy. That surprises me.
Yeah, I'm afraid I was a lot of things.
And you admitted that. I think you've got people that want to ask you some questions.
Yes, maybe a few.
Yeah.
All right.
Hi, good morning.
Good morning.
So I have previously discussed with you, I have these paralleling themes in my life that come when I when I spend time at your discussions. And something that I have personally been contemplating and came up for me in my life that I've been applying is the ship of Theseus. And it comes from an ancient Greek philosophical tradition. And Theseus was a legendary Athenian hero. And later writers used his ship as a thought experiment about persistence through change. And the best known ancient discussion is associated with Plutarch, who described how Athenians preserved the ship by replacing decayed timbers over time. And the philosophers then asked whether the ship remained the same despite its gradual material transformation. And the puzzle matters because ordinary life depends on stable identity. And we speak as if things persist. My car, my body, the university, the nation, the tree, and the garden. But all of these things can change their parts. And a car may receive new tires, a new engine, new paint, and replacement panels. And a university can change its buildings, its staff, its students, rules, and curriculum while claiming continuity with its past. But one possible answer is that material continuity, the real ship, is the one made of the original wood. And in your discussion day, you're just returning back to, well, what are we? You know, we're not, this outside, we're just this, we're continuity, we just are. And this view gives priority to physical substance, but it struggles with the gradual repair because it implies that the repaired ship becomes less and less authentic over time. And another answer is that continuity of form and function is the real ship is the one that keeps sailing, it keeps its structure and remains recognized as the same vessel. This view fits practical life, but it becomes awkward if the original parts are reassembled into a second ship.
Mm-hmm.
And so my question is, and I don't even know if it's a question, but how does Vedanta apply that, or how can we apply that to ourselves better? And so I've been contemplating this. So we come here, we are given these set of identities, or we identify with these set of identities that have been given to us through life experience, through our parents, or just the day-to-day life. And there's, at the core of us, there's the essence, I guess, would be a way of putting it, of who we are. But do we become something else? Or are we just living through these experiences? Or are we becoming more of who we are by those experiences? Are we getting closer to who we are supposed to be? And so I guess that would be my question, if that makes any sense.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, there's a few complexities around it. One is, in Vedanta we say, if something changes, that it's not real. It's not the real thing. Okay? And the second thing is that we don't live in a material world. We live in a mind. Right? And so these things are created of consciousness. What does that mean? Well, pretend we're dreaming right now. Pretend you're dreaming, and we're all in your dream, and you're asleep in a bed somewhere. All right? You fully believe yourself to be what you are right now. You don't at all identify with the body that's asleep in the bed, right? So if you're trying to find out who you are, it's not a matter of using the body and saying, hey, this is me, let's find out who I am, right? What do you have to do? You have to find that which is the same in you as it is in the body in the bed when it wakes up. What is it that goes back and forth from that body that's asleep into you, the dream body, into this room, right? And so if we're in a dream right now and we look around, there's no wood in here, there's no lights in here, there's no temple here, right? All of this is made of what? Mind stuff. How do our dreams create a world? We have no idea, right? But we know the I in the dream is not the true I, right? And yet you have no connection at all with the waking body, with the body that's asleep in the bed, right? And so the process of coming to know that you're dreaming is the same process that Vedanta teaches to come to know that you're dreaming now. As a matter of fact, the sages, when they talk about the waking state, they often call it the waking dream state, for that simple reason, the way that we started, which I'm a broken record on. The fact that I'm just seeing a symbol of you. I can never see actually you, which caused my senses to shuffle this information to me, right? And so what is it that remains when everything is changing? It's that sense of I, right? And what is that sense of I? It has no identity of its own, okay? It's like the white screen behind a movie. There's a great Japanese artist who he just did a talk called Art and Spirit on this guy, Hiro something or other. I can't remember his name right now. But anyway, he placed a camera up next to the projector of the whole theater, and he opened the aperture and left it open for the entire length of the movie. And he found that all movies, no matter what, at the end, when they're placed into a single screen, are just a radiant white light on the screen. So the screen just looks radiant white light, right? So that's what a movie is, radiant light, right? It's only apparent when you take the whole as a singularity, right? If you take any part of that movie, it's going to be things happening, which aren't really things happening. Again, they're just light on a screen. The reality of it is the screen behind the movie. And so the way to watch the movie with a constant awareness of truth is to not forget that there's a white screen that's unchanging behind it, whose nature is the reflector of stories, as it were, right? That's what the screen is. Now, if we can go into the theater and watch the movie, not forgetting the white screen behind the movie, and not forgetting that I'm sitting right here in the movie, then we're not caught up in the story. We're not going to scream when the monster jumps. We're not going to weep when the relationship breaks, right? We're going to sit there and enjoy the reality, which is just isness. There's no story happening. There are no human beings on that screen. There is nothing actually happening except one still frame changing to the next. And my mind is creating the movement. My mind is creating the story. My mind is creating the reaction. My mind is hypnotized into thinking that which is not real is real. Right? So the exact same thing is happening for you right now. That which is watching your thoughts right now is the only thing real. But we are not aware of what's watching the thought because we're so interested in the thought. And this world is only one successive thought after another. Right? A movie screen, a film. And so our job is to find out what is the nature of that which is watching the film. Who is it that's watching my senses? Who is it that's forming the story? Who is it that's attaching to some things and averting others? What is its nature? And so all of the practices in all of the religions are for removing this thought of self, which builds itself in the middle of all of the thoughts that we're having, but is independent of that which is observing all the thoughts, right? Our ego self. And that's where the movie happens for us, right? And so to remember, who is it that's watching? Care nothing about what's happening, because that always changes. It's irrelevant, actually, right? Just watch and learn, and you come to know a few things. You come to know of your nature of love, because as soon as you silence the mind, that's what appears within you. A grand sense of bliss, a beautiful sense of peace, right? And so imagine yourself dying. That's a good way of getting there, right? Imagine the body getting silent one piece at a time until the body is just no longer giving any information. Think of how quiet the mind will be at that moment. And then when the mind starts getting foggy, starts going silent, starts dimming, and that silence begins to happen. If you haven't done any work in spiritual life, that's a moment of terror, because that darkness seems like death to you, and you'll experience that death. But if you know of yourself as awareness, you'll see that that light doesn't go out. You will still stay aware, but what you will be aware of at that point is what is, because you're no longer being distracted by the senses and by the mind. And what you will find is an intense sense of peace, an intense sense of acceptance, of oneness with everything, an intense sense of ecstasy at the bliss of oneness, right? That's who you are. All of this other stuff was just mind stuff, stories that you identified with, stories you empowered by thinking they had something to do with you, right? Because this is a story for body-mind. The self is just watching. When the body gets hungry, the mind knows where the refrigerator is. The mind knows how to tell the body, go to the refrigerator. The body knows how to open it in conjunction with the mind, right? The body knows, oh, potatoes, I love potatoes. Fry some potatoes. And it's all body-mind, just rolling the wheel of samsara. Truly, you do not have to be there, except that you are the only motivating force in the universe. So the body can't move unless you're there. The mind can't think unless you're there. That's your only role. What it does and what it thinks is just always born of the previous thought, right? That's one of the experiments. Try to have an original thought that's not related to the previous one. You can't, because the mind is just an organ that excretes thought. Right? So this is how we find out who we are. And we come to find out that who we are may not even be in this body. This body could be in who we are, just like the dream.
Thank you. Maybe just moving on from that a little bit to help us to think about violence, war, aggression, and fear, and how we can move beyond those thoughts, and how we can have help with that.
Yeah, well, the answer is the same to some degree, in the sense that you realize, I always hesitate to say these things, because these things, we really don't have the permission even to say them without realizing them. But basically, from God's perspective, from the divine perspective, it is God who has become everything. So it's God hurting God. It's God having war with God. You know, there's a singularity, just like in your dream at night. You know, you kill a bunch of people in your dream. There's not a policeman at your door in the morning. Why? Because nothing happened. Nothing right happened. Nothing wrong happened. It was just merely a play in consciousness. And so at the summary of this, that's the nature of this world. We find that there were no individuals here, you know, that this was consciousness playing within consciousness, that nobody was hurt, nobody was at war, and when it's over, it's just simply over. That's, if it ever was, right? Because nothing stays the same for a moment. One place is at war, and then they're at peace, and then a few years later, they're at war again, and round and round and round it goes. People are living, people are dying. People are living, people are dying. People are being born, you know. And so this is just the rhythm of life. And to know, to find yourself in that is the important thing, right? And how does Sat Chit Ananda, how does love, wisdom, and through being respond when it's placed in a moment of terror? It responds by forming peace. It responds by alleviating suffering. It responds by opening itself up and taking itself in, in a compassionate way. It may not be able to stop it because not all the power is in oneself, right? But the power of oneself is in oneself. And so for you, as Jesus says, in as much as it has to do with you, be at peace. Anything beyond that is just isness, has to be accepted. This is the way this moment is. We can go and have fancy ideas about changing the world and all of that, and people have been doing that for thousands of years, and yet we're still at war. We're still not feeding each other. We're still not clothing each other, right? These questions that we normally have for God, God, how can you allow this to happen, are really questions to ourselves, right? There's plenty of food in the world for everybody to eat. We're just not interested in making sure everybody can eat. That's the fact of the matter, right? There's plenty of money for everybody in the world to have a home, a shelter, and an education. We're not interested in giving everybody that, right? So those are the questions we have to find out. We have to answer those within ourselves. What did I do today to feed somebody? What did I do today to clothe somebody? What did I do today to alleviate suffering, to make peace in the world? And so in response to those things, we make sure that we can answer those questions. Today I did this. Today I prayed for this. Today I acted in this way. I responded in this way. In my world and what I have been given, there is peace, and there is love, and there is wisdom. Right? And so we do that. And the best thing is to stay present, stay local, right? When you turn on the TV news at night, that's a story. That's someone's opinion, someone else's description of what happened that day, right? And now it's getting more and more blatant who those opinions belong to, right? That they're not interested in what actually happened today. They're interested on a spin that maintains power, maintains control, maintains the status quo, as it were, unless they're unhappy with the status quo. Right? And so let the stories on the TV be the stories on the TV. Don't pretend we know what's going on in Europe because we heard a story on the news, right? Be where you're at. If you get all upset about the Ukraine and about Israel and about this and about that, and you don't know who's on your own board of supervisors or who's your mayor, then you're going to lead a very angry and unfulfilling existence because there's nothing you can do about what's going on in the Ukraine or in Israel or in all these places of the world. Those are literally distractions for us, right? The world that we've been given in charge of, the world that we live in and are responsible for, means that we are aware of what our neighbors need, means that we're aware of what our schools need, means that we're sensitive to the poor in our neighborhood, we're sensitive to the wealthy in our neighborhood, in that they also have a different set of problems, isolation, not being able to let everybody in. And so we as individuals, it's important. How far can your hands reach? That's the world you're responsible for. Be responsible for that, and if you do well at that, perhaps one day you'll be responsible for what happens in Ukraine. Mother will say, what does Jesus say? He who is responsible in little is responsible in much. He who loves with little will love with much. And so take the little bit of power that you have now and live dharmically according to your nature. And then the universe will give you more power, saying this was a good start, right? But the universe also has a mischievous string in it. Playful, just to make sure we don't ever think this is real. So unreal things will regularly happen.
like very much that you quoted from Meister Eckhart, because I read him. My book is so, I have to tie it together with a ribbon because it's so torn up. But I just love the way he presents the soul and us, and that God is in the soul, but doesn't have the attributes that we have. We have to get rid of those, and the agents and the incarnation that takes place in everyone's soul. Have you read some of his writings on that? Or it seems so similar to Vedanta to me.
Yes,
And
and
the light,
Vedanta's...
the light that the mystics have seen.
Yes. Yeah, we're all looking at the same truth. So we're all going to be close. Nobody's going to be the owner. Yeah, no, that idea of God and soul, I've learned the best way to think about it is like this. You know, that this orange cloth is God, right? It's one, without a second. But if I then go around here and I put a little rubber band around each one of my fingers, right? That set of conditions, that set of limitations will create 5 souls, right? We're not different from God, but we're under bondage. We've got a wrong idea of what we are. And so we see ourselves as 5 separate things, or one separate thing really, but separate from the whole. And when we come to realization, someone just goes poop, and all the rubber bands pop off, and you're right back to a singular piece of cloth. Nothing has been lost, right?
And what you said, I think related to that was that if you go into, you can let everything go, but to go into a quiet space, like Jesus said, to your own room and shut the door, and then sit in silence. And learning to do that is a valued practice, because it seems like that's a wonderful way to reach to your soul, because it's silent.
Yeah.
And
Yeah, the soul can't be described, and you'll find that out pretty quick, because the experience you'll have in absolute silence is quite amazing, and you can't find anything for it to cause it to be amazing. It's like, why is that amazing? It's because you are amazing, you know, in your essence. You're amazing. So yeah, that silence, all of the religions, you know, all of the religions, all of their practices are for doing that, silencing the ego self, silencing this thing that we've created in our mind, our collection of our favorite and least favorite things from the past, and defining ourselves that way. Religion is super simple. The religion is simply be who you are. You just don't know who you are, so you have to do that part. And then most of us have been doing the wrong me for about, you know, I've been doing it 61 years, being the wrong me, you know. So I've got 61 years of a freight train moving forward that I have to deal with when I say, today I'm going to change, right? It's like, how does one change 61 years? That's grace. You know, that's why you have to establish a knowledge of this love within you, because that love is going to have to extend to you, right?
It can't unless it cannot, unless you allow it.
That's it, unless you give it permission. You see, that's why your mind carries your karma, right? Not God. God's not up there keeping notes on who's right and who's wrong. God is that noun of love, wisdom, and being, existence. Right? So where do we keep it? We keep it in our own mind. That's why the Divine Mother says, she says, oh, the love of God is easily attained, or the grace of God is easily attained. And she says, but the grace of one's own mind is difficult indeed. Which means, you know, God can forgive you, but will you forgive you? And what does it mean to be forgiven? That means when you sit down to meditate, you don't feel insecure, you don't feel guilty, you don't feel ashamed. You know your true nature to be that which God is seeing in you. He's not seeing your story. He's seeing your nature. He loves you not because of your story, but because of who you are, because of what you are. You know, just like a mother loves a child because that child is her child. And she will love it regardless. Right? We see that all the time. And so God has that same love toward you. And so when you sit in silence, that which keeps it silent is grace. That which keeps you from being pulled into the story is grace. A love that has no condition, no reason. So it gives you permission. Through that, you give yourself permission to not have a reason. I love, that's why. I am, that's why. Right? Not a cognited reason for everything. Just simply a constant remembering, I am divine. I am love itself. I am wisdom itself. I am. Right? All right. Any other? What? Yes, indeed. So go forward.